Most people believe that training to get lean requires you to do endless amounts of cardio, to be training like a lunatic, pushing until failure every single session in the gym. But that is not the case, and I'm here to tell you exactly how to train while getting lean in order to ensure that you keep your existing muscle and that you actually lose body fat. This is the type of training I use to get my recent transformation and maintain literally almost every ounce of muscle that I had beforehand. People fail to realize that training only has one objective in mind, which is to keep your existing muscle, especially during a deficit where your body's essentially eating itself. So what I'm going to show you in this video today is how to accurately assess that, how to make sure that you get lean and you lose primarily body fat opposed to the muscle that you work so hard for. Right, so I'm going to break down everything there is to training to get lean to actually maintain your muscle and lose primarily body fat. This is going to be a deep dive. Let's get straight into it. We're going to start off first with the objective of training while to get lean. There's a lot of misconception, and like I mentioned in the beginning, of people thinking you have to do crazy amounts of cardio, people training like lunatics in the gym 6 times a week, and this is not the case. That is just going to burn you out. That's going to cause you to end your cut prematurely simply due to the fact that you've worked yourself so hard, especially on top of the calorie deficit that we're already in. You got to understand that if that training alone without the calorie deficit is going to destroy you, imagine what it's going to do to you while having a calorie deficit on top. So understand that we want to expend the least amount of effort while keeping our muscle. And our goal is not to do endless amounts of cardio or train, like I said, like a lunatic till failure every single session. It's more so just to stimulate each muscle group just enough to keep it. And if you don't know what I mean just training our muscles to let our body know that, hey, we need this muscle because we're using it still. I know we're in a calorie deficit. I know we're in energy saving mode, and I know we're essentially eating ourselves, but let's get rid of the body fat since we're not really using that, and this muscle we're using, so we need it. So let's keep it. That's basically what goes on. So training each muscle group properly is going to let our body know that we need the muscle. And this is crucial to understand because people just go in the gym and think that working themselves hard, that feeling like they're working hard is going to keep their muscle, but that is not the case. And it just comes down to, are you training each single individual muscle group properly in order to keep it? Or else, if you don't, you're going to lose it. So just know everything we're doing here, we're training with intention. Nothing here is random. We're not just going into the gym, praying, disciplining our way through the workouts, hoping that that's going to keep our muscle and that we're going to lose primarily body fat. But we're coming here with an approach, with a sniper approach that has every single rep in the gym have purpose. We're not guessing here. And I'm going to make sure that you conserve every single ounce of hard-earned muscle that you've earned in the past year so you don't lose it while trying to get lean. So now that we know that we're not going in here with our heads cut off, we're coming here with a direct approach. Let's go into actually how to do that. So the type of training that we're going to be doing is going to be more bodybuilding focused training because it's isolating each muscle group and we're training it with enough volume to keep it. Understand, if we don't train any muscle group properly, we are going to lose muscle because you got to remember throughout these 12 weeks, we are losing body weight in general. So we have to make sure to stimulate every single muscle properly to let our body know that we need to keep it and to eat the body fat like I explained before. So this is why we use bodybuilding style training. And the cool thing is there's no set exercises that you have to follow. Literally just stick to mostly isometric movements, which is just isolation muscles. Stay away from compound movements like squats, bench, that use multiple muscle groups involved because we want to keep track and make sure that we're actually hitting what we want to hit. But the thing is, you can do whatever you like, whatever exercise you like for biceps, for shoulders, for chest, etc. Just know that we are coming at it with purpose. We're hitting each individual group to make sure that we're stimulating it properly, to keep it, to let our body know. And I'm not going to go on to that again. But either way, this is everything broken down into volume sets. So I know this seems a little scary right now, 8 sets of chest, 8 sets of back. All these sets is just how many sets you have to do per muscle group to keep it every single week. So this can be this is just weekly sets. And along with these targets, we want to keep rep ranges from 14 to 20 for each muscle group. So I know it's high. The thing is, during a cut, we have more endurance to do more reps. We don't have that much strength because we're in a deficit. We have lower energy levels. So training in the gym we want to use what we have as our strength. So we have endurance because we are losing weight. So that will allow us to do more reps, and more reps just stimulates more hypertrophy during this time. So we're stimulating each and individual muscle group properly with higher reps and making sure that we don't lose it. This will make a bit more sense in the next pillar, but this is just literally the type of training we're doing. Understand, we're coming at it like if we're a bodybuilder. We're just trying to maintain each and individual muscle group that we already have, that, like I said, like the muscle you worked hard for already. So we just want to make sure by hitting this amount of volume per week that we are keeping it, and the weight that we are losing throughout these weeks is primarily body fat. So along with this, we need to be progressive overloading. You got to understand that your body adapts to whichever type of training you give it. So you continuously have to challenge it. And then we do this by adding more reps every single week to what we are already doing. So we want to start week 1 with intense training, but not close to failure, because we want to give ourselves room to add those more reps and to challenge our body. And the whole kind of idea with it is similar to the diet video. If you guys haven't watched the diet video, go back. We want to gradually increase the intensity as the weeks go by. We don't want to go out full sprint to this marathon, because then we're just going to burn out, and then we're going to encounter what I talked about at the beginning, people burning out because they're training too hard, which allows them to not lose body fat as they wanted to. So we start conservatively, training intense, but not pushing ourselves to failure. So we want to give ourselves room to progress throughout the week. So we are going to be adding 1 rep per muscle group. So for example, if you did 16 reps and 13 reps of incline chest press the last week, the next week we want to do 16 and 14. And just to give you a visual representation of how training is going to look like in that gradual increase, this diagram represents training intensity on this left side and the duration of the cut, so from weeks 1 through 12. And like I said, we want to start gradually increasing training intensity, but we don't want to do it all at once. We want to do it slowly. Remember, we're working with 12 weeks here. We're not trying to come out like Superman in the first couple of weeks and burn ourselves out. We want to just make sure we last the entire 12 weeks, because remember what goes on in those entire 12 weeks, fat loss. So you want to push yourself, and then you hit a point where you hit rest. If you don't know what I'm talking about in these rest days, go to the structure video in this series. It literally explains everything I'm talking about here in the sense of rest with the diet and training, but this is the training video, so this is where it applies to training. It gives our body time to reset the training intensity. So these 4 days of rest that we take, which just consist of 2 days of training with half the sets that you did the previous week, so literally cut everything in half. It should feel like a super easy day. It should feel like you just got in there and like, what am I doing here? Followed by 2 days of no training. So that represents these maintenance or rest weeks. So it gives us, our body, a mini reset to then hit into some more intense training throughout the week. So then instead of just going from week 1 at 10 intensity, which is will be burned out by week 3 or 4, it'll give us the duration of the whole 12 weeks. And you got to remember, we're already in a low state. We're in a calorie deficit. We don't have as much energy. We don't have as much strength. So this is just going to allow us to last the entire 12 weeks, consistently challenging our bodies to make sure that we keep the muscle, to make sure that we actually get to the end of 12 weeks and lose all the body fat that we intended to. So that's that. That's progressive overload. You need to continue. Yes, we're in a deficit, but you need to continuously progressive overload in order to challenge our body, because like I said, it's going to adapt to whatever you're doing. So whatever you did at week 1 training wise, at week 2 is probably not going to be as effective because your body's getting used to it. So that's the whole purpose of progressive overloading, is continuously challenge the body, because it adapts to the volume that you give it in this amount of sets. So that's why we increase sets, to challenge it, to stimulate the muscle, to keep the muscle. Simple as that. Let's go into actually applying this into real world. So this is how it's going to look, how the training actually looks. The cool thing is, how many times you train is up to you a week, based on your schedule, based on your needs, but it should be around 4 to 6. And the cool thing is that regardless if you're training 4 times a week or 6 times a week, by following these set metrics we set back here of all these set limits, you're going to be able to keep the muscle no matter what. So I'll show you how that looks like. So in a 4-time training example, so it'd just be upper lower split, and then you can get, this is all like the complexities, but it's really just simple because it boils down to the amount of sets required to hit weekly. Regardless of how many days you're training, literally just follow these guidelines here, whether you're training 4 days a week, 5 days a week, or 6 days a week. And this will ensure that all the muscle you have currently, you will maintain simply by just hitting its volume, its set point that lets it know that we need to keep this muscle. So that's the cool thing, right? You can incorporate this to your life based on how your life looks, what you have available in your weekly schedule. And all you have to make sure is to just hit the required amount of volume, which we went over back here. So these amount of sets per week, along with continuously progressive overloading, which I showed you how to do here. You simply just add 1 rep to every muscle group. Do that for literally every muscle group following these blueprints here. And you're going to be solid. You're going to be golden. All the weight you lose is primarily going to be body fat. And you're going to come out of this cut leaner and meaner. I know this is a lot, guys, and I know it can get a little complex and you might think, but literally you have everything you need here. Just copy these down and apply it to wherever works best in your life. But if you want me to come in your life and build a tailored plan to you based on whatever you have going on already, we can work around your schedule and what you already know to actually get you lean in 12 weeks. Book a call down below so that way we can go over your situation, see where we're at and where we can be, and actually get you lean. So going on to the last pillar here, cardio, and it's actually one of the most simple, that's for some reason the most complex along this industry, but you just want to do something that's sustainable and consistent that you can do for a long period of time. Sustainability and consistency beats intensity. So ideally, we want to stick to 90 minutes divided by the week, however many times you go to the gym. So if it's 6 times a week, 15 minutes of cardio at the end of every session. So just couple it with the times you go to the gym because that's most convenient. You're already at the gym. Whatever it is, just stick to something that's low taxing on the body, that doesn't require so much from you, that's not that intense. You don't want to be doing HIIT workouts. You don't want to be doing an hour Stairmaster. You don't want to be doing sprints. Remember, we're already in a low depleted state, so we want the path of least resistance in order to conserve our energy while still getting the goal that we want to get, which is calories lost, which is the whole point of cardio, right? To increase the deficit without having to cut more food. So I'd just recommend a simple incline walk at 12 incline, 3 speed, and expect to add a little more cardio towards the end of the diet because we don't want to cut too many calories at the end when we're already low. So in that case, you can just add another 10 or 15 minutes every time you go of cardio during the week, and this just puts our deficit even more without us having to lower our calories. So it like I said, this is not crazy, this is not intense, this is not HIIT workouts, or you don't want to be intense sessions, you're dripping in sweat. This is just something easy that we can do for the entire 12 weeks that allows us to burn extra calories in order to consistently be in that deficit, which as a byproduct helps us lose body fat, right? And the type of cardio that's less intense allows us to give more resources to our muscles. So gives them time to recover, so we keep them. So that just adds on to the fact that this weight we're losing is primarily body fat and we conserve our muscle. So really, guys, that all it bubbles down to. We'll go down here just to a simple recap. So we went over how we are approaching training, that how we're going into this. We're not going to this blind. We're going into this with a specific goal in mind, which is just to stimulate every single muscle group with as little resistance as possible in order to just maintain that muscle so that most of the weight we're losing throughout these 12 weeks is body fat. We went into the type of training we're doing and the goal of it, which is I just explained there. So we're going to be like hypertrophy training, which is just bodybuilding style training, and that just allows us to accurately hit every single muscle group to make sure that we keep the muscle. So we went over on how to progressive overload to keep the muscle because that's also another important factor. We got to continuously push ourselves. Yes, we're in a depleted state, but we still want to be hitting mini PRs every single week, and I told you how to do that. And then we went into how that actually looks like incorporated into your life. So I gave you guys sample 4, 5, and 6 days a week that you can literally just pick whichever one. They all do the same thing, which is cool. But if you like hitting the gym more often and if you have the luxury more time, 6 is always ideal. And then we went into cardio and how simple that is. It just simply comes down to what even the purpose of cardio is just adds that deficit. And then I explained that it's just you want to keep cardio as simple as possible, as least resistance on your body as possible. And that's really it, guys. That's the entire training of getting lean, and me explaining the why on why we're even doing this and why we're approaching it the way we are. And how if you follow all of this, you are going to be leaner, but also keep all the muscle that you started with originally, because that's a big problem people have. People get lean, but they lose a lot of muscle. So following every single thing that I talk about here is going to ensure that you not only get leaner, but you retain the muscle you already have. And yeah, guys, that was a pretty long one. I'm glad to finish that. So you now have the diet and training along with a plan you created in the first video of the series. So keep smashing it. Achilles here. Super excited and grateful to be bringing you guys these videos. And that's going to wrap up this one.